What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And England are in the semifinals of the Euros. Right, Lee?
Yeah.
Lee, we're in the semifinals.
It don't feel like it.
Lee? Why doesn't it feel like England are we're actually in the semifinals? We didn't go
Oh,
out losing valiantly on penalties. We took 5 perfect penalties. Some of the players who messed up a few years ago, uh, like like re imprinted their heroism on the minds of like the racists who were against them. Saka, we're in the semifinals.
the penalty shootout was the only part of that game I enjoyed watching.
All right. I know what the problem is. I need to talk to you, and I need to talk to England. And I spoke to Lloyd today, you know. And when was the last time England won any European or international tournament?
1966.
1966. And I know it's been tough. You know what I mean? I know that we've faced a lot of disappointments. I know that we've had a jaded international football history. I know that we believe we invented the sport of football, so therefore we should be the best at it. But unfortunately, there's some country named Brazil that had a Pele, and another country named Argentina that had a Messi and a Maradona and a hand of God. And Brazil had a Ronaldinho. And we've been through some things. We lost some games, and we've had great generations, right? So it's hard to fully root for England because we're full of fear. You know what I mean? We don't want to give all our love and then be disappointed again. So, you know, we don't want to see tough games, right? We want to see us dominate so we don't have to panic and go through the emotional roller coaster that most of us went through the other day versus Switzerland, who is a good team. Who is a good team. It's the best team we play the tournament. But this is what I realized. We ain't won in a minute. This is what it is. This is what it's going to be. None of the games we win, if we win this tournament, not even the final, it ain't going to be good until we win it. Because you have to go through this and win it to be free players like we want them to play like. Like they have to win it first, and then they'll be like, oh, wait a minute, we could actually do this easier. Like the first win ain't gonna be easy. It's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be gritty. Some of the players are gonna play good sometimes and then play bad other times and then play good again. But some of the things that we needed to do to get to where we are now, we've done them. Like technically, like worked on our penalties. We got some of the best players in. So listen, the next game ain't gonna be easy either. Yeah, we do have a better team than Holland, but Holland, I feel like, has been playing better. But as long as we get our desire levels up and play hard and just go in and don't back down, I feel like with our skill, we can beat Holland. But they're not going to give us this. They want this shit too. Like, and the level of all the teams that we would consider not as good as England, they've all gone up over the years. Ain't nobody playing games. Like, Portugal went to penalties against a team that we should have just dusted off just based on the history of football. So even some of the teams that we didn't beat, other teams didn't beat them either. It's just been a tough tournament. And there's only one good team left, Spain. And their best player has to get off before 11 p.m. He has to get off the pitch 11 p.m., showered and change his clothes. So if we could move, if we beat Holland and we can get the FIFA to play the game at midnight or UEFA, We got these motherfuckers because that kid can't play. It's past the child labor laws in Germany. Like there's a certain time when kids below a certain age can't work in Germany. The tournament is being played in Germany. So if Lamy, Yamal, if we can delay the game, like somebody start a fire or something in some start of the stadium, and they just delay, and the later the game starts, this nigga might play 5 minutes. We could win the final. So cheer up. Here's hope, fam. We could do this. Now, what did you think of the game? Not much, but go ahead. Tell us the little that you thought of how we
I
played.
thought it stunk.
Jesus.
Just this, I mean, it's disgusting. We're in the semi-finals and we've won one game in 90 minutes, the whole tournament. The opening game against Serbia. We've won one game.
France is in the final.
I'm going to get to France later on. I'm going to get to France. But yeah, I mean, that game stunk. Like against Slovakia, we didn't have a shot on target until Bellingham took that overhead kick. Against Switzerland, we didn't have a shot on target until that Saka shot. And that was in like the 80th minute or something. Like,
can I just defend that?
You can try.
if I may, I would say that Switzerland had everybody behind the ball, and we did take some shots, but they wouldn't even let their goalkeeper save anything. It was all blocks. It was all bodies in the way. And I know their goalkeepers are, hey man, I'm capable. Just let something through. Let me save something. But you know, Harry Kane took shots. Rice took shots. Bellingham, people took shots, but Swiss were behind the ball, man. They're a good team. Let's not sleep on them. Sorry.
This team though, like you look at, like we've got a bunch of players from City in there. We got Walker, we got Stones, we got Foden, we got Bellingham for Real Madrid, we got Kane for Bayern, we got Rice and Saka from Arsenal. These players all play against teams who sit deep and pack their half with players. So all these guys can play against that style of play and create. But for some reason in this setup with England, whether it's the instructions, whether it's the formation, whether it's the relationships between the players, it's just disgusting to watch. We took a corner that ended up at Pickford. Like we took a corner and we played it short, and then we just were like, oh no, let's keep going backwards. And just, I mean, Foden did slightly better being able to play in a bit more of a free role because he wasn't
slightly.
Yeah, he wasn't limited to being out on that wing trying to play as a winger when he's not. So he was able to go over to the other side and sort of double up with Saka a little bit sometimes. But I mean, we got to talk about Harry Kane.
All right, because let me get some positive things in there, and then we could get to Kane, because okay. I do have some positive things to say about Kane, but I'll counter you after. I just want to say, shout out to the team for fighting back, for not giving up, and to Saka. He was giving it to that dude all day over there. And I don't want to steal your Harry Kane thunder, but Harry Kane, and I'm not bashing you because I'm going to praise you. If our only attacking side is the right, and that's every game, you got to get near the right. It's not like you got to guess if the cross is going to be coming in from the left or the right. It's going to be coming in from the right, because we ain't got nobody on the left so far. But I just feel like I just love our energy levels and our desire levels and how much we fight, you know. And Switzerland put it on Italy. Their last game, they dominated Italy. They've been dominating teams. They don't sit back, and we made them sit back. Like we made a front foot team sit back. Now, they had a better XG than us. Got to give them that. But I feel like,
just quickly, Kai Havertz, as a single player, he's had a higher XG than the entire England team this tournament as one man on his own.
And worried, what's he doing on Wednesday? He's gonna be watching the Euros. That's what he's doing. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. You were talking about, yeah.
Nah, I just want to give props for like the players fighting. And Luke Shaw looked good when he came in. Listen,
Mm,
I'm gonna agree
yeah.
with you on a bunch of things. This is what Southgate. Thank you for getting us to three finals in four tournaments, three semifinals in four tournaments. But you have to make substitutions faster. Like right before I'm blanking. Right before Switzerland scored, I could feel
Mm,
that goal coming, and I knew we needed energy injected in the squad, and you should be able to tell that too. And you shouldn't be able to go to a bench that has these players on the pitch. It like this ain't like we're stacked like Portugal. Like you could take you might not even have to start some people and we'll still have the same amount of people. If Southgate wasn't as stubborn as starting Foden and Bellingham at the same time, you could substitute one for the other and make the bench even stronger. But I just I haven't seen a sub come in for us and been bad yet. So when you
mm.
have that data, like visually and just just make it earlier, like reboost the squad, man. Turn the computer off and turn it back on so that we could go again stronger against a team that is starting to get their energy levels up and deciding they want to take this game from us. And so that's one thing I would say. And what were you going to say about the rest of the your diss track versus England making it to the semifinals?
Yeah, I mean the subs. Just to speak on the subs a second, like, it was so reactive. I don't know if Switzerland hadn't scored. I don't know what the plan was. Like, were we just going to sleepwalk into extra time? Like, we weren't even trying to win the game, and then they scored, and it's like, oh shit, we better do something. And but I mean, I hate to defend Southgate, but he did make subs a bit more proactively in some of the other games. Like, he was making his halftime subs and stuff, but that was mainly him admitting that he got the starting team wrong. Whereas this time he just watched the starting team do nothing. Like you say, there was some fight. Switzerland are a good team, but it was just the lack of creativity and the lack of, like, we were brave in terms of out of possession. The players were working hard, they were tackling, but they were not brave with the ball apart from Saka and sometimes Bellingham. Like, Saka was brave. He
Menu.
wanted to get Mainu as well, actually, to be fair. Like, he was good at receiving on the half turn, playing forwards, but there was just so many players in that team who just, yeah, just panic, go backwards, panic, go sideways, not going to take a man on, not going to pass forwards, not going to break lines. And I mean, and Kane, let's get to Kane because he was our Ronaldo in this game. That man, I mean, it's a good job he's got a bad back because he was being carried. He wasn't having to do any carrying. I mean, just nothing, just nothing. Just like the guy, he was just doing what the hell ever the hell he wanted. Like, he was dropping in deep. Like, I've got a pass map. This is from Opta Stats. This is a
Uh-huh.
pass map of the England team. Obviously, the bigger the circle, the bigger the involvement and the relationship with other players. And this is not
But
good for the people that are on the audio at all.
right.
You're not
And
going
I'm
to
gonna
see it,
look at
but
it because
but
you sent it as evidence number one
Kane
to convict
is
Kane.
Kane is a tiny dot in the middle. He's deeper in this. He's got like average positions as well, and he
Mhm.
is deeper than, I'll put it back in the group chat. He is deeper than everyone in our team apart from Stones, Concert, and Pickford.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that is diabolical. Um, and I don't even know if Southgate would have subbed him, but I think he got a knock in extra time, and that's when Southgate was like, "Oh, I'll put Tony in." And I mean, I think he would have put Tony in at some point eventually anyway because he's a cold penalty taker. Um, but put him in earlier because he might have stopped it from even going to penalties if you put him in earlier because he's a hungry guy. And he plays like a striker. Um, I was surprised he didn't have the guts to go with both of them in this game because I think Kane would play better with someone in there who he could bounce off of, and someone that's going to occupy those centre backs because whatever he was doing in that game, that ain't it. he was a passenger. And it was
Man,
horrible to watch because I know he can do stuff. I think he's not fully fit. He got that injury at the end of the season with Bayern. He missed games. He didn't play in proper minutes in the build-up games. And I think he's just being, Southgate's just, he's the captain, so he's got to play. And he's just offering nothing. Like, this is one of the most clinical strikers in the world. You look at the numbers he put up with Bayern, the numbers he's put up for England before. This isn't me saying Kane is a bad player, but it's me saying Kane is a bad player right now in this team, in this tournament. And he's offering nothing. And I think it's letting
man.
the team down. It's letting himself down. It's just like, just take him out.
All right. So in fairness to Kane, my size is being altered. I'm trying to operate with this new backdrop. So excuse me. All right. So you know that map you just showed where Kane dropped deep.
Mm.
He did drop deep. And you know how I not know he dropped deep? Because I saw him save 2 goals in the penalty box against Switzerland, against us. Like 2 goals for sure, where if he wasn't in the box where he shouldn't have been, they would have had a free shot on goal. So I might be the only one that noticed that. And people might have to go see the match again because they're killing Kane and said he wasn't forward. So I agree that he needs to be available for Saka on the right because Saka's going to get the ball in there and you have to be there to meet those crosses. But he did save 2 goals. So I want to give Kane credit for that. Also, Kane said he's not injured, but all the media, because they love Kane so much and want to protect him, are saying that he's got to be injured. He might be. He might have lied. He might lie just to play because players do that sometimes, which is detrimental to the squad. But he defends too good to be injured. He's just playing so deep. You know what I'm saying? That he's not able to do his job. Maybe that formation, the 2 10s, he feels like, all right, those guys are going to be there. Let me drop back because maybe they're too forward. I do feel we need to stop giving, and it's not even stop giving Foden chances. Just bring him off the bench, man. It's fine. It's bring him off the bench because even when they did what a lot of people have been asking, they took off Menu, they drop Bellingham back as an 8 and say, Foden, the 10's all yours. What did Foden do? Nothing. So, hey, man, he's new to international football. He wasn't a starter for us the last tournament. Like, he's one. This team is pretty new. We have a lot of new pieces, even though Southgate has been there and some of the other players have been there. Like Cole Palmer ain't been there with us. Cons ain't been there with us. Gay ain't been there with us. Saka's been there, but Rashford ain't there. Grealish ain't there. Like pieces that even Kane are used to ain't there. Bellingham has been there, but he's not always been a starter. He would have to wait to come into games or some injury to occur. So he's not like they're not 100% used to playing with him either as a bona fide starter. He had this great season at Real Madrid, and they're like, all right, we got to put him on the pitch. And the same thing with Foden. This is his first full real season with Man City, and he won Player of the Year, and only because Holland was injured most of the year. And so then Southgate wants to force him in there, but he shouldn't. We should have a really strong bench. You could use 6 players. Imagine putting in 6 fresh players who want to prove themselves, who are as good as the players that you took out, and just attacking a team with that. We will win regardless. There's no way we're going to lose. So he needs to refresh the team sooner. Even if as soon as he sees a dip, all right, guys, let's go. Because the way we started the tournament, a lot of our players aren't like full of 100% battery power anyway. Like Jude always looks leggy. Like you're saying, Kane looks leggy. So we could change Kane sometimes. Like there's a lot of players out there looking leggy, man. And we got fresh, equivalent players on the bench. So I agree with you, but I also just want to just and I want this team to win something because some caller called in to Talk Sport and said something really good about, and I was listening to Nagelsmann talking about the great experience he had of working with a team and a support staff where everybody just worked together to build to this point, and it felt beautiful. And he wants Germany to be like that, and I want England to be like that. Like, let's let go up. You want our players to play fearlessly, but you're afraid to love this team. You can't have it both ways. Love this team, and the players will play fearlessly. Like, we never have the opportunity to play because we don't have the capability, but we have the capability to give this team our full love and support, and they'll feel it, and they will give it back on the pitch and just loosen up. Regardless, this first win, if we get it in a tournament, it's gonna be ugly. It ain't gonna be. This ain't gonna be for the weak, as my homie David Arnold used to say. The first one is the hardest one. Anything else is, I don't know if that cheers you up or anything. Probably not.
I mean, the mood was positive before we started playing the games. You know, I don't think that the players are playing that way because of the fans' negativity. They were like that from the fans' negativity stems from the way they have been playing. It was just we've been, like I say, it's been horrible. In my mind, we went out to Slovakia. We did not deserve anything from that game. Like in a different timeline, we were eliminated that game. You know, I don't think we deserve to be where we are, but I mean, we're there. But some positives, I'll try and have some positives. Konsa came in, and I didn't notice that we had someone new into the back line. He came in with a different formation, and he doesn't play back three at Villa because Unai Emery is very 4-4-2. So Konsa came in and was just comfortable immediately. I thought that's a positive. Saka trying to actually run at people and have a go, and he had that defender on toast. That's a positive. The penalties, I was confident. I was actually confident on those penalties because I was watching the game with a friend, and I immediately, as soon as we started playing in extra time and it was looking like, you know, we're not going to do anything in extra time, I started thinking about who's going to take him, and I'm like, well, Palmer will be up because he doesn't miss for Chelsea. He took like 11 penalties last year, didn't miss one. I was like, Tony is cold. Like Tony, like I love all these people going crazy over, oh, he just looks at the keeper. He says, I was like, I've seen him do that for Brentford tons of times. Like I know he does that. Like he ain't missing. Bellingham, I don't think I've seen Bellingham take one for Real Madrid, but I knew he would have one just because of the swagger. Right. I'm like, he will be the first person to go, yeah, I'll take one. If they're putting it out to the players. So knew he would be up there. Saka, I was confident because every penalty he's taken for Arsenal since the last England final, he's been on point. And then I wasn't sure who was going to get the fifth. We were debating it as we were sitting in my friend's living room. We're like, is Eze going to take it because he takes them for Palace sometimes? Is Trent going to take it because he can strike a ball well? You know, I was thinking like one of those two probably. And then when Trent stepped up as well, you could just tell like he was cool. And Pickford as well. Pickford just like the best. The bigger the arsehole a keeper is in general, the better they tend to be at penalties. You see it with Martinez for Argentina, and Pickford he's an arsehole. You know, you see him just screaming at the defenders all the time. You see him just absolutely mocking teams sometimes with his time wasting. You know, he's that sort of keeper. So you knew that he was going to do something in that shootout. So obviously, you know, he gets the save early doors against Akanji, sets us up nicely. It was Akanji, wasn't it, who missed?
Yeah, it was Akanji. Akanji took their first one.
Yeah. But that just set us up nice. And then the penalties were calm. Even the ones where their keeper guessed, the penalties were so good that they weren't ever looking like they were going to get kept out. So yeah, and like huge for Saka as well. I just, I had full confidence in him when he stepped up, because there's a guy who's been through it and bounced back, and that was fantastic to see. And you could see when the final kick went in, he just dropped to his knees.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, that was a good moment. So yeah, there are some positives, but
Great redemption
yeah,
story. And to
oh yeah,
watch an English squad go to penalties, like we almost lost the game in extra time because we were just messing around for the time to run out to go to penalties. And Switzerland was the only
mm,
ones like, oh, let's try to win this so it doesn't go to penalties. I think I recognize some penalty takers because I played in the Premier League before. So let's take this team out. And we kind of like didn't do enough because we kind of had so much confidence in the fact that we could kill this team in penalties. And so
mm,
that's a danger. So we can't like take the edge off any game. We got to stay on it. We got to hammer 100% all the time.
yeah,
As far as Kansa is concerned, I'm going to say something and then I'm going to ask you a question. And I hope I don't forget the question. Let me just ask the question now and just let me Kansa or Guehi next game. But I do want to say we have so many great coaches in the Premier League. And like you said, Kansa has never played in a back three before, but we had to play because it was his first game. So it's like, let's protect him and make him as comfortable as possible. But another reason why he's comfortable is because we have so many great coaches in the Premier League, and his coach is a very capable coach and has showed his team so many different styles of football, and he can adapt to so many
mm,
different ways of playing, and his game has evolved over the past 18 months under the new Villa coach. So it like that stuff helps, you know. And I
mm,
agree with you. Like, Southgate is a throwback coach as far as the era of football that he came up with from England. And when he came up, England lost to teams that sat back. And Deschamps, is it Deschamps? Who's the French coach?
yeah, Deschamps.
He plays the same way. It's all defenders. Like, I know you want to shit on France, and I'm not defending them, but they're missing one player, and his name is Paul Pogba. If they had Paul Pogba, they would still sit back, but they would have that key to unlock any defense while they sat back, and they would look
Did,
more attacking, even though they were deceptively not.
did
But
you see the Mbappe interview?
no, what do you say?
They were sort of saying about Mbappe and how he's not getting the goals, and he said it's because Pogba's not here. He was
Oh
saying about
shit.
how he was saying how, like, when he had Pogba in the team, he said he knew he could just make runs. He could
Mm-hmm.
just make runs because he knew Pogba would find him from almost anywhere on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're just not doing that right now. But yeah, we can get on to
Yeah, they don't have
France.
that guy.
Yeah.
Pogba is a special guy. He's a really special guy. Like, huh, even Holland is missing their lock picker. I would say De Jong is their
Mm,
version of a closest version of a Pogba. Like Shabby
yeah.
Simons, he's good, he's getting better, but he don't have that natural like he's not a Pogba. And a
No.
team with a Pogba, I feel we got maybe a like Manu a year or two from now, he's Pogba. I feel
Mm.
like because even the position he plays eight, but he goes forward and sometimes is very available in the attack. So I'm interested to see where his future goes.
I feel like there's some similarities there, but I feel like he hasn't got the range that Pogba had. Like, Pogba could find someone from like 60 yards away. Um,
He
just
18.
pinpoint. Yeah, yeah. He
He
he got
he
time. He's got time to
19.
build it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Um,
I, mm-hmm.
but to go back to your question, as cold as this is, I'd put Gay back in.
I don't think that's cold. I think that's spot on. He's been our
Yeah,
best player, and yeah, let's go
yeah,
back to a 4-3-3, and let's get a wide player out. They
mm,
don't play out changes, take out Foden, bring him in as a sub. Let's
mm,
get Gordon or somebody wide. Eze, Eze's been devastating. Like the things he does with the ball, like he came in, helps us keep possession. Like he's
Mm,
not afraid to do that Brazil stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy that England has these super technical players, and Gareth Southgate
mm,
can't always throw three attackers on the pitch, Ten Hag style, to win the game because we do become a little unbalanced and defensively, and like Switzerland almost caught us out when
mm.
we had that many attackers on the pitch. Because after we score, we back off, wait
Yeah.
for penalties, and then they attack, and we don't have that defensive organization that we had before. So yeah, I agree with you.
I would love it if Shaw is fit to start though in that next game because I can't take any more of Trippier on the field. There was rumors before the game that he was going to start on the right and
Mm-hmm.
Saka would play on the left, so we have some actual balance, like a left footer on the left, and that didn't
Mm-hmm.
happen. And I think one of the best tweets I saw was just that this formation allows Trippier to pass backwards from a higher position, um, which was spot on.
uh,
We advance up that side, then he just turns back and goes back. And yeah, just in a few minutes of seeing Shaw on the field, I was like, this is such a breath of fresh air to have someone that can do that, who can pull wide and overlap on that left side. Um, so I pray he's fit. I pray he's fit enough that there's no setbacks that he could, because I would rather start the game with Shaw and have some attacking contribution down the left
mm-hmm.
for 50, 60 minutes. And then if he's like, I'm done, take him off, then put Trippier on. And we might be 2-0 up, who knows? Rather than have to maybe throw Shaw on as an emergency to try and do something in a game
Mm-hmm.
that's running away from us, because Holland are beatable. They're so beatable. Um, I watched them against Turkey, but Turkey did something which I don't think we will do against them, and that was Turkey. Turkey had them on the ropes for a lot of that game, and it
Yeah,
was because of their energy. The
yeah,
energy of that Turkish team was relentless for so
yeah,
long, and then they kind of ran out of steam for a little bit, and they weren't quite smart enough to switch up the tactics once they did run out of steam, and then Netherlands were picking holes in them. But even then, like the Dutch had to defend for their lives in those
yeah.
last like 10 minutes when Turkey got their second wind and put the subs on and then threw the kitchen sink at them. And like even Weghorst was back in his own box making blocks
Yeah, he saved the
um
goal,
because he had to.
which
And
you,
and
which you're against forwards doing apparently. If
no, not if they're already, because he scored already.
well, he didn't score, but he was very
Well, not score, sorry.
influential.
He caused problems.
But I agree with you. When he came on the pitch, that's when the attack of not that
Yeah.
the attack of Holland was bad before because Gakpo and Memphis were doing a little thing. There was some combos. It was beautiful, but it was better when he came in, Weghorst as a nine, and Memphis was able to drop back a little bit and then kind of work off Weghorst. And Memphis was better that way. Memphis, he didn't always make the right decisions when he was the nine, but when he was back a little bit, he was better.
I thought he was garbage for most of the game.
Damn,
I
he had
thought,
the assist for the first goal, the tying goal, right?
yeah, but I still didn't really like what he was doing out there. I thought he would have
Yeah,
been a better player to come off for Weghorst, but
and keep
Bergwijn wasn't.
Bergwijn on. What was Bergwijn
Bergwijn,
doing?
he wasn't doing much
Bergwijn was
either, to
doing
be.
Bergwijn things. Nothing. And
He was at,
I always hope Bergwijn will do something one day. He's got the speed, but yeah.
he was out there looking Spursy. He's still got that Spurs stink on him. But yeah, I mean, like you say, they haven't got De Jong. Those two midfielders they've got, they're good. But they're young and they're not dominating games. If people get in their face, and yeah, I thought Turkey were unlucky. Like they put it on them. They scored from a set piece. They showed some weaknesses there, which I'd love it if we start Tony, because they're a team who are weak on those balls, but we ain't going to do that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where we can hurt them though, because Netherlands do want to play a bit higher up the pitch. They're not going to park the bus against us like some of these other teams have been doing. So it'd be interesting to see how the battle for possession goes, whether we have more of the ball, whether they do. Yeah, it'll be intriguing from a tactical perspective and to see what formation Southgate goes with. I wish as well. Southgate's even said this in the media himself, and this is one thing where I think he's been hard done by. Is whoever is leaking the formation
Yeah.
changes, the player changes 2 days, 3 days before these games needs to stop that shit. Like whoever it is, they're not like, and some of it I think is just the media because the media are allowed to watch the training sessions, so they see it in
Right.
the training session, and that's the English media. It's like, what are you doing? Like you're just doing it because you want clicks. It's like you don't care
They
about
want
the
they
team.
want the scoop. They want to keep their job. They want to get the clicks and then be the
Yeah.
first to say it. And then like, man, what's up with these leaks?
Yeah. I mean, at least we were able to surprise Switzerland slightly by having Saka and Trippier on the different sides to the sides they were expected. Because even the England social media team who posted the lineup graphic, like when the team was announced, they had them on the other sides as well.
Right.
They still had Saka on the left, so at least there was one surprise for Switzerland. But
Mhm.
yeah, like the whole world knew that we were going to a back 3 days before that game, which is crazy.
Mhm.
Because I went down some Twitter rabbit holes because some people were asking like, is this happening in any other country? And almost everyone was like, no, this doesn't happen with any other nation.
I did
Like
hear some
occasionally,
interviews. I did hear some interviews, like because they were talking about the leaks, and they did say that the journalists who were having this discussion did say that if they want, they could find out from other journalists the lineups of the other teams. Like they said, this is not an exclusive England problem. So I don't
mm,
know. And Stuart Pearce was saying like players are probably telling family members or friends, and those friends or family members are leaking it. Or
oh yeah,
it was saying that the way they set up the cones or the dummies kind of like give away to the press like who's gonna be where. And then but after each match, everybody already suggested the same formation after the
mm.
last match. So I feel like it's not the leaks, it's Southgate just listens. I'd be like, all right, I'm taking some of these things into consideration. And
He's not
then
listened to any of the other things anyone's saying.
hey, let's hope let's keep saying it. Hopefully he might, So we're playing Holland, and let's talk the Holland game versus Turkey a little bit
hmm
more. And then let's talk if our chances against Holland. What I did like about Holland is what you liked about Turkey, and I still like the same things about Turkey. But can we get our energy levels as high as Turkey? And
hmm
can we get our energy levels as high as Holland when they were down to Turkey? Like, there is again, skill is not everything. It's desire and fight. And England has shown some. And I think I said earlier that Switzerland is a front foot team. They were against Italy, and we put them on the back foot for most point, even though their XG was higher. So I would love to see that against Holland. But just as far as that game, I feel that was a really competitive game. Turkey like came
mm.
and showed out and were definitely there to win this thing. Another low key thing about Turkey. Turkey is the is the co-host of this tournament on the low
Yeah,
key co-host of this tournament because so many Turkish people live in Germany. I don't know how.
yeah.
I need to look at the map and see some of the German players are Turkish. It's rare when some Turkey gets to keep some of their players as Turkish players, but it's mad. So Turkey gets to co-host a tournament and put no money in. You know, so it's a home game for Turkey anytime they play in Germany. So so basically Holland beat the co-hosts, in an away game. And so I got to give that to them. It wasn't just like you playing Turkey at home. in their second home. But brilliant game. Hats off to Turkey. Arda Güler, I don't know if I said your name right, but amazing cross. When he put that crossover, there was only 3 possibilities of heading that ball, and they were all Turkish players. And the player that put it in the net is the player who replaced the Turkish double goal scorer from the last match. I don't know why the goalkeeper stepped out. I think that was a mistake.
Yeah,
he's never going to get that ball.
The whip on the ball though kind of made him feel like he could. There's just the quality of the ball from Güler was top class.
Yeah.
But yeah, just going back to the thing about obviously Turkey being co-hosts, it was in the 60s. There was a labor shortage in Germany, and they signed an agreement with Turkey to allow like German companies to hire Turkish migrant workers. And like loads of Turkish people just moved to Germany to work for these companies, and they became like one of the biggest migrant groups in Germany. But yeah, there's been loads of players over the years. Like Mesut Ozil obviously was
Gundogan.
Turkish parents. Gundogan is one other one. And then there's some who were born in Germany who then Can's another one. There were some who were born in Germany but then played for Turkey instead, like Hamit Altintop, who was a player for Schalke, and I think he might have gone to Bayern in the end. But he was born in Germany but then played for Turkey. So yeah, it's an interesting mix, and just some of the scenes from Berlin and other cities when when they beat who they knock out in the round before when their defender scored the 2 goals.
That was Austria.
I'm blanking on it. Yeah, when they beat Austria, like there was just people like driving up and down with Turkish flags out the cars and honking and stuff. And Çalhanoğlu, the Turkish captain, he was born in Germany.
Okay.
As well. So yeah, he was in there too. So yeah, it's interesting game. It was a shame they had to go out because they played really well, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of Arda Güler over the next few years at Real Madrid as well, because his debut season was kind of affected by injuries for a lot of it. And also just him being on the bench a lot when he was available because he's still learning the ropes at Real Madrid. It's not an easy team. 18, 19.
What's his position again?
He's like an attacking midfielder. He can play left or right. He's left-footed, but he can play on the right, like cutting in. But I've seen him on the left, or as a 10 as well. So
that was his weak foot. He crossed that ball with.
I think it was his strongest. It was left, wasn't it? Bending in. I can't remember now.
No, it's from the right.
But curling in on the left foot, I thought might be getting it wrong.
Yeah, I think it was his right foot because the commentator said it. And I was like, but I couldn't exactly figure out like where he was playing at. We got Martin coming in like a hostage. Jesus Christ.
What's wrong?
You out to talk to us for a little bit?
I want to talk to you guys, sure.
Could you sit up in your own chair?
I am. It's a very comfy chair. So this is like the most sit up I can do. Otherwise, I'm going to just like sit on top of the chair. So this is a very chill chair, but I'm still sitting up.
All right.
We've already discussed England, Martin, so you've missed that one. Sorry.
Okay, bye.
We know you just want to come on and trash England. How was the Poland game?
They advanced. They're the best. They're on the best stretch in the history of English football.
Yeah, besides when we won the World Cup in '66.
Yeah, but there was one tournament. Like talking about a stretch, 4 tournaments in a row, that's the best stretch.
Yeah, 3 semifinals in 4 tournaments by a coach that nobody likes is bananas. So that's why I want Southgate to win it. And even if he wins it, everybody's going to shit on him. But I also would look at this England squad and compare it to the Scholes, Beckham, Lampard, Terry, and Gerrard, and having Rooney and Owen, and I would say to people who hate Southgate, we had better teams or a better generation than this that didn't win or do as much as this generation of players is doing.
But you know who that generation went out to in 2004?
I know. Go ahead.
Zidane. Zidane knocked us out in 2004 in Portugal.
But we had that game. We had that game. And we fucked up. And Gerrard shouldn't have been out there, or Lampard shouldn't have been out there. We should have played a real holding player instead of both of them.
Yeah. But we played, we had that game, and it was Zidane.
And we slipped up.
Yeah, and it was Zidane that unlocked us. We were struggling against Slovakia. We were struggling against Switzerland. Are good, but they're not a Zidane France team. And then 2006, we went out to Ronaldo. Ronaldo when he was actually a contributor.
And Ronaldinho and Roberto Carlos.
Yeah,
and
that was 2002. And yeah, like this. You look at the teams we're labouring against now. They don't have a Ronaldinho. They don't have a Zidane. They don't have a Ronaldo in his prime. This is poor, and we're somehow in a semi-final. I don't understand it at all.
And give Southgate his props. I mean, plus the bad teams are better now. They're not bad. So, everybody's like learning how to play football. Everybody wants to state their claim in these tournaments. Like, a lot of these smaller countries, it's not a game anymore. They wanna do something, Like teams like Poland can't even compete no more with Lewandowski.
It's a funny thing about Poland, though. It's almost ironic, looking from outside and kind of have this perspective of an outsider now for 17 years living outside of Poland and pretty much thinking differently. It's funny because the last tournament we qualify for the first time in 36 years to the last 16, and the coach got fired and criticized by everybody because they didn't like the style of football. And then 2 years later, they get 1 point in 3 games and they're out. And everybody's happy with how Poland is playing. They're praising the coach, that he's like showing the new way, the new Polish team. It's finally we play open football, we attack, we score goals. So it's almost ironic. The other guy accomplished things. This guy didn't accomplish anything, and this guy gets praised, and the other guy got fired. It's in my personal opinion, it's wrong, but that's the way it is. So, yeah.
Did you? I mean, yeah, football is weird. Like you're getting the reverse of what Southgate is getting for England, like your coach.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit sympathetic with Southgate because he does get results, and it is pragmatic, very pragmatic football. Of course, it also tells you and shows you that football is unpredictable. And I would actually partially agree with you and partially disagree with you. The unpredictable part is, of course, the Bellingham scoring the overhead kick and in the game that was lost, right? If Southgate loses this game, he's not the coach today. Like as we speak, there's no Southgate anymore. Pretty much, we can agree on that there's no Southgate if there's no Bellingham's goal against Slovakia. But that's how football works sometimes, And in 1978, in the World Cup final, Holland plays Argentina, and in the last minute, Holland hits the post. The game goes to overtime, Argentina wins, and they win the World Cup. So, nobody remembers Holland having almost win a World Cup. They never did, before or after. But I think what I agree with you and disagree at the same time is, there are some teams that are better, sure. But I also think that it's just too many games. And one thing I don't like about this Euro, there were only 2 games that I think were great so far. It was Austria against Netherlands and Germany versus Spain. Those were the only 2 games, in my opinion, that were great games of football. Players are tired. Players are exhausted. There's just too much football being played.
Yeah,
it used to be like a celebration of the game, Euros and World Cups. Now it's the stars are tired. Look, like there's not one outstanding player in this tournament. There's not one player you can tell he's like Maradona in 86 or even.
No, that's not true. Jamal, Nico Williams, they're playing like
good, but they're not don't have 5 goals in 4 games.
They're beautiful to watch, man. They're
sure,
playing.
Sure.
They're trying. they're outstanding game after game after game. Like to the point where if you sub them, they're like, "What are you doing, coach?" Like,
Yeah, and exactly that's what I felt.
I
Like
understand. I understand why after the game why the Spanish coach took out Yamal, but I still don't understand why he took out. You should stand up and do the podcast. That wall is beautiful. I don't understand. What you got a museum going on in there, Martin? What do
I
you do?
do. I need
Stole
to
an
check
art
my
collection?
Yeah, you know I do, but I don't want to. I shouldn't show it probably to attract.
The way they're framed too, pretty good.
Thank you.
But yeah, those kids have been balling, and they're you know, it depends on, but I don't think the stars are coming from the teams you expect them to come from. And speaking of Spain, I watched the game, but then I watched the highlights of Spain Germany. Is Morata out of the semifinal? I know Carvajal is.
I think
So I
Morata
have
is.
yeah. So I have a feeling Spain's going to lose to France. How
Yeah.
y'all feel about that?
No, I agree. I'm in like a predictor league, and I've got France down to win that one.
Why? Tell me why.
Because I think they'll grind it. They'll grind it. It'll be horrible to watch. But I feel like Spain without some key players, and Pedri is probably going to be injured after Tony Kroos decided to
He's done
sign
for
off
this.
his.
He's done for
Yeah,
the tournament.
yeah, because Tony Kroos decided that he was going to retire by finishing someone else's tournament, and then the football gods went, no, the guy who's going to come on in his place, Danny Elmo, is going to
Yes.
score a goal and then assist a goal,
Yeah.
and send your ass off into retirement. So maybe Cruz shouldn't have nailed Pedri, but yeah, I think without Pedri,
Yeah.
without Morata, without Carvajal, yeah, it's going to be a hard one for Spain. I feel like I felt like Germany was going to be one game too many for them, and it probably should have been.
But you know what,
But
Lee? You know, it's like when you watch that game, you could see. First of all, I just want to address what Ian said about the substitutions. Those substitutions changed the game completely. Spain was in control, and then he substitutes
Yeah.
those two players, and then Germany should have won.
they were
If
shambles.
Havertz wasn't Havertz.
Yeah.
If Havertz wasn't Havertz, you know, like Havertz is a very good player, but why he's not an elite player? That's why, you know, when he has a game-winning ball at his feet and he can't even put the chip in correctly into the goal. If he puts that chip in, and there's no talk about penalty or anything, right? That was a game winning situation.
I feel like Musiala blew a chance too, and Germany blew a bunch of chances after the 70 after they took out Lamal and Watkins. Germany blew a bunch of chances.
Oh, they had him on the ropes.
Yes.
There was like a boxer just waiting for him to land that knockout blow. I thought they were going to do it, and yeah, they just couldn't get it done. But I feel like France will have the edge. I think France will just be solid. They'll win from an own goal in extra time or something. But yeah, then they've been almost as horrible to watch as England. But I mean, again, similar to England though, their penalties were cold against a keeper who saved 3 penalties in his previous shootout. You know, and that can get in players' heads sometimes as well. The psychological impact of because Diogo Costa has done that for other like penalty shootouts, like for Porto. There was one where he was his first keeper to save 3 penalties in a Champions League season, all from open play. I think all in like he saved 3 in different games, and yeah, the guy's a monster on penalties. But those France penalties were just different class. They were
English.
Yeah. They were not messing around. So they took their penalties great. And I mean, shout out to Nuno Mendes for Portugal as well, because that was the best penalty of the whole shootout, the one where he just stuck it in the roof of the net. But yeah, it wasn't enough for them.
Bernardo Silva's one was great too.
But do you guys think that the Spain coach learned from this game to not make such a funky substitutions? Because it's not the first time he did it. He did it in the game before, and he wasn't penalized for that. And now he did it again. He almost got penalized for that.
Well, now he's 3.
Martin, you know he has to take out Lamal, right?
He doesn't have to. They can take a fine. They get fined €30,000 if they keep him in.
So he should take the fine in the next game.
Well, he just
take
took him out
the
because
fine.
he's a kid and he's tired, past his
I don't
bedtime.
know. He was tiring out the defense, but he didn't look tired. I feel like he didn't look. I didn't think Nico Williams looked tired.
Yeah, I
But
think Williams should have came off.
But I feel like, I mean, lucky they had Almo in there, and Almo's been dying. He's living in the shadow of Pedri. And, you know, shout out to, is it Marino or Marin?
Yeah, Mikel Marino.
Man, that header was
incredible.
just pure
Like
class. Like when
like
you see it in slow motion, you see, if you're teaching somebody a header, that's the video you show. Like he is redefined what you should do in a header. And I like Rudiger, but I like more than Rudiger is watching Rudiger get measured and burned. And he got measured and burned, and he knew immediately afterwards, game done. So you had a good season. You won the
I'm
Champions
talking
League.
about Rudiger. I heard a comment. I heard a comment from one of the I forgot which player who played against Rudiger several times. He says that nobody likes Rudiger mainly because he's a sneaky, dirty player that he likes to kick you like around all the time throughout the game. Like he makes those like little kicks here and there during the and
Rudiger will grab your nipples. He'll do all ill stuff. He'll put his finger up your bum. Like that's Rudiger. Like he'll do everything.
Yep.
He'll violate you.
They say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a quick one on the Marino goal as well. I don't know if you saw the news story of his father scored for Spain in that same stadium.
Oh.
And Marino did the same celebration as him as well. And the crazy thing is, it was the same commentator for the game.
Snap.
As well, still 33 years apart.
You know what's also crazy? They showed Yamal's father from the stands, and he's younger than Cristiano Ronaldo. Yamal's father.
Yeah.
He is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Yamal's descendants? Like I know he's born in Spain, and I know Messi blessed him when he was a baby. I don't know if have you seen that photo? Is that a real photo?
I posted it.
Yeah, it's a real photo.
It's a real.
But
what's
his, he's part Moroccan and part from Equatorial Guinea. So he was born in Spain, but his father's Moroccan. His mum is from Equatorial Guinea.
All right, Alex. I was just always wondering, like, where's the thing? But Messi definitely did something that day. He held him because the skill level is uncanny. So Martin, who do you think got this? Like Lee thinks it's France over Spain. What do you think?
I think Spain will win the tournament because unless the coach will sabotage the team, like he almost did against Germany. I actually thought Germany would win it, and then they blew it. They blew it. I thought Germany would win the Euros. It looked that way to me that Germany will win it. But now I think Spain will win it. I think England can potentially win it because so far they were extremely lucky, like really, really lucky. But I think this is the worst team for them to play against, the Netherlands. Because here's the thing with Netherlands. With Netherlands, and Poland almost exposed it. The Netherlands are very frivolous in defending, but you have to attack them. You have to really attack them, and they will always score. They will score in every game. They create chances. They're very good they're very dangerous team offensively, but you have to attack them because they make mistakes. And if England plays like they played so far, they're not gonna win because they would have to attack them. So they would have to do something they haven't done so far in the tournament. But if England attacks them, they can score because Netherlands makes mistakes, a lot of mistakes. But they also score because they play beautiful offensive football. They have a lot of players who link up. They should have scored like 5 goals against Poland and 7 against Austria, 3 against France. They're really good offensively. They have a good flow. And Depay was missing so many chances. And once there will be a game where he doesn't miss chances. Same with Mbappe. There will be a game where he doesn't miss chances or gets those chances. But I think Spain is probably the best team out of the 4, but not always the best team wins. And I think Spain versus Netherlands is
Netherlands an attacking team, like for most of this tournament?
Yeah. They just go forward. They like go forward, don't look back.
Oh, okay. Their defense is actually the best part of their team. Like
No,
Yesterday, Van de Ven
they're
didn't
making
even
mistakes
start.
and conceding goals.
Yeah, and they brought Van de
Conceded a
Ven
lot
off
of
the
goals.
bench.
England need to do one thing which they've not done well yet in this tournament against Netherlands, and that is to press with a structure and with a plan, because Netherlands overplay at the back. And if we've got the right players on the field who can close them down with energy and shut off the passing lanes, then we can cause them some problems at the back. But if we have Harry Kane just doing something and the midfielders not locking on, and if there's no structure to the press, then they'll pick us off. They'll pass through us. They'll take our press out, and then they'll hurt us
Willie, I agree with
at
you.
the other end of the field.
I agree with you 100% about Harry Kane. But here's the thing. I saw the stats. Crosses in the game against Slovakia, 4 crosses in the game against Denmark. If you play Harry Kane, you give him the ball. Like he's not gonna. He's not the type of a player who'll take the ball in the middle of the field and run forward and dribble past 4 players. You have to play him. You have to cross him the ball. If England is not crossing the ball,
you can't cross to him if he's not in the box.
Yeah, but if listen, like you gotta do some crossing here and there.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to put crosses in against Switzerland, but they had like 5 defenders in the box, so it's just going to get headed away if we do that. And if Kane's not in the box, then it's just crossing it to no one. So that's why the players get the ball wide. They look up and they're not got anyone in there to cross to.
I felt like this was our best pressing game. Like most games, I complain about our press. There's no structure to it. It's one person just going. Like sometimes Foden just goes by himself, and I'm like, Foden, what are you doing? But this time we would just stay in our places, block it, and let them try to figure it out instead of like rushing them unnecessarily. So I feel like we need to keep that same energy for this game against Holland, like you said, and make them overplay at the back. And because we won some balls in dangerous areas, but we just didn't do anything with it. And but this was our best pressing game. Listen, England is progressively getting better. Let's see if they get even more better, good enough to beat Holland and get to the finals. If England gets to the finals, do you all think that Southgate should stay?
No.
You don't want him?
Even if we win it, he should go.
Mm-hmm.
I think he should be like, okay, this is the peak. It's time to let somebody else have a go at this point. And because like he almost ran out of credit in this tournament. Like, I mean, I said it before Martin came on, and Martin said it when he came on. Like, we should have been out in that Slovakia game. That was a stroke of genius from Jude Bellingham and no one else. That was
you gotta be good to get lucky in football. You all know this.
It was our first shot on target against Slovakia in 96 minutes or whatever. We deserved nothing from that game. We should have been going home after Slovakia. We shouldn't even be here. And like Martin said that if that happens, then Southgate's done then and there. He probably doesn't even make it out the stadium alive, with the way the England fans have been baying for blood. So
I feel like we win. I hope we win, and he takes the knighthood and bounces as Sir Gareth Southgate and just walks off into the sunset, because you'll never make these English people happy. I like him and I want him to win, and I appreciate what he's done in the tournament so far. I would like a more tactical, aggressive, risk-taking coach, but I want Gareth to get.
Here's a big question. Mm-hmm. Would you want Southgate say United had no manager right now? I mean, some would argue they don't.
You have to finish the question, bro.
Would you take Southgate? Yeah.
No.
But yeah, Martin, would you take Southgate at Spurs?
Well, let me tell you this. I think.
No, come on. Yes or no. Yes or no. Would you take first of all? Would you take Southgate at Spurs?
I wouldn't. At this point, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't take him at Southampton.
But I'll tell you something. I think if but because that was a question. If he wins, I think that's up to him. If he wins the Euros, it's up to him if he wants to stay or not. He should make any decision. At this point, he deserves to have the decision. Whatever he wants. He wants to continue, great. But there's a risk. He's not going to end up as a winner. Or he rides the horse in the glory to the sunset as a winner. It's his, but I think he deserves a choice. They can't fire a Euro winner. That has.
Aren't you happy about a coach who ain't afraid of going away with a winning record and risking it all on the roulette table? Like, I feel like he'd be even more adventurous in other tournaments coming up. But who knows?
I feel like it's his choice. It's his choice even now as a semi-finalist. Because for me, going into the tournament, I mean, it's been horrible to watch, but semi-finals was my expectations for this tournament. Just because of the strength of the other teams. I know we got to the final last time because of the strength of the other teams in the tournament. For me, because it's knockout football is hard to predict. Like only one team can win the whole thing. Only two can get to the final. So sometimes the luck isn't on your side. Sometimes, like against Slovakia, it was on our side. But luck can run out. So,
and I want you to hear your opinion about it. Because like I sometimes try to leave emotions at the door. I try to think about it. In more like analytical.
No, you don't.
I do. More the older I get, the more I do. And
you're doing a terrible job of it.
Here's the thing: when you look at Southgate, and his record with England, like you can't question his selection really in terms of like who is he calling to those tournaments.
Yeah, you can.
You
can. Like, you can question so much of it.
Like what? Rashford.
One left back who has no working legs until the quarterfinal. Chilwell.
Chilwell's injured.
He's a Champions League winner. He's not injured.
He's injured though.
He's not injured.
He didn't play most of the season.
No, he was injured earlier in the season, but he was fit at the end of the season. He's probably more fit than Kane was going into the tournament. Even take Tyreek Mitchell from Palace. He had him in previous squads. He had a look at him.
Are you sure Chilwell is fine? Because
I'm pretty sure Chilwell's fine.
Chilwell before. I think Chilwell was injured. I don't think he would have not taken Chilwell. But now you got me doubting. I think because I would have heard other people say take Chilwell.
And I think they play a lot of mature football at times. I think there's it's very repeatable and it works. Like fourth tournament in a row, it kind of works. What he does. Of course there are always ups and downs, but he's been consistent. You can't blame it. He didn't have one bad tournament, and some of those teams, like let's say France, 1998, they win the World Cup. Then the next World Cup, they're out in the group stages, and then the next World Cup, they're in the final. So you had two great tournaments, and then you had this one in between that was horrible, right? But England in the last four, it's very hard to accomplish. In the last four, they're in the top final eight in the last four, and as a matter of fact, they almost got into the final four times in a row, because this game they played in Qatar actually was a pretty good game. They played pretty good game.
It's
France, right?
Yeah. Typical for a Spurs fan to think being in the top four of anything is equivalent to winning it, because I don't give a shit about semi-finals and finals. Like if he wins something, I will eat all my words if we win something. But even if we get to the final,
I remember Bobby Robson when he took England to top four in 1990, and the whole England was saying how great what a great of a team. They made it to the top four. I remember that World Cup. Everybody was praising Bobby Robson, oh, that great England team, and Southgate has already did it three times.
I respect him. I was going to ask you a question about Southgate, but I forgot. So let me just ask you this question: Roberto Martinez, what do you think of him as a coach, and should Portugal let him go now that they're out?
Well, I mean, he's only the assistant coach, so you have to ask whether or not they fire the real coach, Coach Cristiano, because not subbing that guy. He played every minute of every game, and that's a travesty. That's why Portugal are going home, because they have other forwards who can do a job. Jota is, he's not as good as prime Ronaldo, but he's better than 39-year-old. Yeah. Not going to do a single moment of running Ronaldo. And like Ronaldo, it got beyond a joke, some of those free kicks he was trying to shoot from in some of those positions. It's like, you haven't scored a free kick since you had highlights in your hair. Like, come on, man. Like, Jesus, just it was embarrassing. And it was clear that there was some sort of order, either I don't know, from the Portuguese FA, or if it was from Ronaldo himself or something. But just, you can't say anything to this guy. You can't sub him, and then he has a tantrum if someone doesn't pass to him, or if someone else has a shot and misses. But if he misses, you can't say shit to him. Um, just ugh.
I
Oh,
can say one mistake Ronaldo made all tournament was not getting, you know how I criticize Kane for not getting close to the right side so he can get receive some crosses from Saka, because Saka's definitely going to take on whoever's on the right. Like, for him not to be in a passable area with Leao, who was just killing people down the left. Like, he should. There was one cross that Leao had a chance to make to Ronaldo, and he didn't make it, and he got tackled ultimately by a French player that plays for Real Madrid. He has dreads. I can't say his name right now.
Camavinga.
Camavinga, who had a great game. I questioned that substitution during that game, but I guess they brought on a penalty taker who did score a penalty. But before Camavinga made that tackle, Leao had the opportunity to pass it to Ronaldo. And Ronaldo was at that point running parallel to him and like waiting. But when you see who's doing the work on the wings, you got to be available for that person. But
also,
Ronaldo,
how good would it have been if Ronaldo had accepted his position and role in the team and been like, I'm here as a senior figure. I'll be on the bench. Throw me on for 20 minutes. Because imagine Ronaldo coming off the bench. If you're a team and you're 0-0 in a game or something, Ronaldo comes off the bench with 20 minutes left. One, he's got an aura, but also for 20 minutes, he can give you something. If you say, right, just full, you go full speed for 20 minutes, because that's all you've got, rather than him trying to preserve himself through 90 minutes or even 120 minutes in these games that have gone to extra time. If he just had the humility to be like, this is where I'm at. I'll come off the bench for 20 minutes and I'll be a role player. But he could still have the moments of glory if he does that, because he comes on at the end when there's everything to play for. And he could be the glory guy, not this sad. It was sad. It was sad watching him.
And what worked me was that he was trying every single free kick, every single penalty, but also every single free kick. He missed like 7 of them in this game.
Yeah, like I say, he hasn't scored a free kick since he had highlights in his head, like 15 years ago. He's washed, and it's sad.
It's sad. It is sad. That was a missed opportunity for Portugal, because they had like from 1 to 20, I think they had the most talent. Them and France probably, but maybe even more than France. Like 1 to 20 on the roster, like comparing not only starters but also bench. I think they had the most talent. It was an incredibly loaded team, and I would have liked to see, let's say, Bruno Fernandes taking a free kick here and there. That would be fun to see, because he
took one.
The fact that Fernandes got substituted in that game and Ronaldo didn't was a travesty.
Yeah, but it's the same what we see with Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James hiring his podcast partner as a coach, and his son is being drafted. It's this power play. One of the greatest players of all time. They have certain gravitas, they have certain power, and if they use this power button, there's nothing you can do. They're almost like a dictator in the room.
LeBron's still putting up the sort of numbers he put up earlier in his career, though. So
let's see how his son and his podcast partner do.
Well, let's talk Copa America right quick before we bounce.
So
the semifinalists are Argentina and Canada, and Uruguay and Colombia. Brazil are done. Bielsa, who is a one-style type of coach, switched it up. Uruguay versus Brazil was a cat fight in the middle of the night in an alley. Like, Uruguay touched every part of every Brazilian player at every opportunity during that game. I feel like the number of fouls that they committed was too high. Let me see fouls. They had 26 fouls on Brazil. That is so non-Bielsa. Like, to just be like, they pressed and they pushed, and it was like, I feel like in Bill Belichick's first Super Bowl win, they did this thing called a bump and run, where after you get off the line of scrimmage, they would make contact with the wide receiver from any of the other team to like throw them off their receiving the ball pass, which disrupted the offense of the team that they were playing, which was a pretty good offense at the time, and it was a precision offense. So they just, and within the legal area of the pitch, Uruguay did this in the legal and illegal area of the pitch. It's just, I feel like they pulled the hair out of every Brazilian player. It was a dogfight. Kendrickson played most of the game on the floor. He was getting hit by people he doesn't even play against yet in the La Liga. It's like, hey man, wait till I get to La Liga and we're like real enemies. Like what you act like. I guess Brazil and Uruguay are decent enemies, but it's a complete departure from Bielsa style, because Bielsa is the coach of Uruguay, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they really took Brazil out the flow of their game, and it worked. Even though they went down, they fouled so much, they got one of the guys, and I don't even know how this guy thought that wasn't a red card.
Oh, 100% a red.
And he got a yellow, and it just came to a red because he had a yellow before, but that a straight red. But that's how belligerent and flagrant this Uruguayan team was playing. What do you think of Bielsa, Uruguay, and Brazil getting knocked out?
On the red card, I was loving the fact that the referee was mic'd up to the whole stadium. I loved him rolling the R's on the Roja for the red.
Yeah.
But I mean, Brazil really missed Vini Jr. in this game, because Endrick, he's going to be a star, but I feel like this game was too much for him. He looked like a 17-year-old playing against men in this game. He looked a little bit lost. And I mean, the fact that Rafinha was the one that the big chances were falling to as well. We've said before, Rafinha's a good player, but he's not like world class. He's not that guy.
He would make those Brazilian teams that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And they were just hindered by that. And I mean, Uruguay could have got it done in regular time if Darwin Nunez had not tried to head it off his shoulder and use his actual head. That was a big chance that I feel like they could have put away. But Uruguay are fighters, and I think Bielsa's harnessed that aspect of their culture, their football culture as well as putting his own style in there too. But sometimes you got to fight and grind it, and they did it, and it's an upset. I mean, again, at times it was like England; it was not pretty to watch
at all.
But Uruguay were the underdogs. England aren't in those games.
That was an international derby.
Yeah, I mean, they share a border. They don't like each other.
Right.
Obviously, Brazil care more about Argentina than Uruguay, but they still not a fan. But props to them. It was it was an ugly win, but it was a win.
And what do you think about Panama having the audacity to step on the pitch with Colombia and even thinking that they had a chance, and Colombia going, bruh, you not like us. Colombia won that 5-0. Panama just lost it the moment that the ref blew the whistle, and Colombia is just like, and where the hell has, what's his name been? Like, where the hell has Rodriguez been?
James Rodriguez?
Does he play for a team?
Yeah.
Because he's been killing it this tournament.
Come to the MLS. He might come to the MLS. But I'll tell you this, there are two sides of this coin. First of all, of course, Panama is not at the level of Colombia, but at the same time, they did eliminate United States from the competition, and that's a fact. They did
lucky win.
They did eliminate the American team that is getting ready. Was the final test for hosting the World Cup, together with Canada. And Canada has an American coach, and they're in the semifinals, and they did great. And America, with the coach that was criticized for the last couple of years, lost to Panama in the group stages. And that's where we at this moment, and this very moment, preparing for the World Cup, which is horrific mismanagement so far by the American Federation, because Jesse Marsh should have been the coach of the American team, and he is now leading Canada to the possibly a successful World Cup. You know, because so far they're showing a lot of promise. I don't think they're going to beat Argentina, but come on, you know, this is a disaster for American soccer team. This is a complete step backwards, and it's been looming that way in the last couple of years. You know, this group is not really growing. It's not really developing into anything special. Everybody was saying how many amazing, talented players America has 5 years ago, and where we are now. You know, where are we?
Can I just say something?
Mm-hmm.
Argentina, Canada is how this competition started. It was the first game of Copa America. And that game, if you watched it, like we've talked about Canada before, they don't have any street smarts, but they were up there with Argentina in that first game a few weeks ago.
March.
They Leipzig them, but Canada did the same thing that they did in the World Cup, where they'll attack you, but they don't have any street smarts and they don't know how to win a game yet. They have the energy, the desire, but there's this thing about football that makes you a winner, that makes you win games like this, that they're just so gung-ho, they miss the thing that they're missing. So Canada might have learned enough. Like Jesse Marsh, after playing Argentina before, this might be perfect for Canada. He might be able to beat Argentina, the World Cup champions, and make it to the finals. You don't think so?
No, Argentina has too many amazing players on every position. They're stacked, and yeah, I don't think so. I think that Argentina are the perfect candidate to win it all. I think Uruguay is the only team that probably can beat them.
Yeah. So you feel like Uruguay can beat Colombia?
Yeah.
I feel so too. I feel like that. Colombia's been good, but that match against Panama is like, you kind of expect that. But Colombia also in the pre-warm-up friendly internationals leading up to this game beat America like they were Panama. So Colombia's like organized and they're ready for this tournament, and it's no surprise that they're in the semis, and they always want to play at Argentina. They always want to play at Brazil. They always want to prove that they're as good as them. Like it's like they never shy away from it, even when like Brazil or Argentina clearly has a better team. Like I like the attitude of Colombia. Like they like, nah, we're just like you. We belong there too, and they want that win. So
yeah, it's by the way interesting how the national team of each South American country kind of resembles the culture, the mentality of the country. You know, like Uruguay always play this pragmatic, calculated football, and that's what this country is. It's the most industrial, the most organized, the most European, the most civilized of all the countries, the most modern of the countries in South America, the safest too, the most expensive. Oh, yeah. And the team is a perfect example of the Uruguayan style of life, where Brazil is unpredictable, it's dangerous at times, and they sometimes shoot themselves in the foot, which they did in this particular case. I saw that Ronaldinho was very highly critical of the Brazilian team throughout the tournament. He was telling that this team has no passion, that something went wrong in Brazil now for a while, and he might have a point. But going back to the American team, it's also it's also an American culture, an American state of mind. This grandiosity sometimes. Now I'm hearing and people say it on TV that they should go after Jurgen Klopp. They should hire Guardiola for the World Cup 2020. And I'm like, really? Guardiola would come to coach America for World Cup, or Klopp maybe? I don't know. I don't think so. Mourinho probably would have. But like they think that every coach should, like when they call him to coach the United States in the World Cup, that every coach in the world will say, sure, where can I start?
Yeah,
and that's not the case. I don't
think. What do you think about Berhalter? That's the last question, because I'm gonna go to the beach. But
yeah, I think
see Lee's face.
I think he didn't develop this team, unfortunately, and there were some good results underway. He won a couple of Gold Cups, but I think ultimately it's a big disappointment compared to what the expectations were when this team was like very, very, very young. It's still young, but it's not going in the right direction.
Yeah,
What do you think, Lee?
They had an opportunity to move him on when all the controversy was happening. They should have pulled the trigger then, because that wasn't a good look for anyone involved, for the whole federation, to be honest. And then they could have hired Jesse Marsh right there. Then, I mean, like Martin said, there's a lot of fantasy options going on with the US men's national team fans with Klopp and things, but it's not going to happen. Like, Jesse Marsh would have been the best option for them because he has a defined playing style. He knows the players as well, and he would have worked to implement that. I mean, he's done it fairly quickly at Canada, and look where they are now. Massive overachievement for them to be in the semi-finals of this tournament, and he would have been a good option for them. I don't know where they go next, though, if they do fire Berhalter, if they try and get someone from Europe in. But I think the US is a very unique footballing landscape because it doesn't function like other countries at the youth level and other levels, and even the league level, the MLS. It functions like the other American sports with, the way it works with the transfers and things and trades and stuff. So
Drafts.
it's a very different thing. So I feel like Jesse Marsh, who's someone who would have been perfect for it because he's had the experience in Europe at Salzburg, at Leeds, and
In
was he at
MLS.
Leipzig for a little bit as well? Yeah, but he's had the experience in MLS with Red Bull, New York Red Bulls and things. So he understands European football and
And he was the assistant to either Bob Bradley or Bruce Arena, right? He was the second coach.
I think he's been around the setup at some point. So I think he's just got the most rounded experience, and that would have worked best for that team. But they've missed out on that now. So Canada will get the benefit of that, and we'll see what happens where they go. If I think Berhalter has to go, and where they go from that, I'm not entirely sure because there's not really that many outstanding US candidates. Maybe they could have hired his assistant, but he took a club job. The guy who stepped in for him when there was the whole investigation going on, he's I think he's Nashville manager now. Let me just check where he went.
Yeah, but I forgot who that was. One of those like debate show hosts. Yeah, one of those popular internet personalities. He's like, why don't United States spend like $5 million and get the best coach in the world? We are America. Everybody will come here.
That's what we always like. Why would somebody like who has a reputation deal with such a team that's overhyped and can, like Klinsmann did it because we bugged the hell out of Klinsmann. Like,
also, he was already living in California.
He was living in California, but I think we threatened to take away his citizenship unless he coached America. I feel like we went that far. Like, hey man, we got some photos. You want these to come out, or you gonna coach us, or what? So, like, he did it half-heartedly, and he didn't have the results of even a Berhalter. And now we want Jesse Marsh, we want Klopp. We're jealous of Canada and of having Jesse Marsh, and we're looking at Canada's like results in this tournament. But you have to remember the coach before Jesse Marsh qualified Canada for the World Cup ahead of us. So Canada just has this quality in their team that America doesn't have right now, regardless of who's coaching. And it just takes a good coach to bring it out. And Jesse Marsh is a good coach, and he is bringing it out. And that's why they're showing us that there's no accident that Canada qualified ahead of the US and Mexico in our group or conference for the World Cup. Like, they just did the same thing in this thing. But I can't wait for Tuesday. I got a feeling, man, Canada can take out Messi. And that would be crazy. That would be bananas. Thank you all both for joining. It's been fun. Anything y'all want to plug?
No, just social media. Just Lee Hudson Comedy on Instagram and Twitter.
Martin, you got anything?
Yeah, I'll put my Instagram. I never did, but I'm gonna put it Martin _ Harris LA, and I post all my films and TV stuff. And we did a sketch with Ian a couple of weeks ago. I posted it. Ian posted it. Let us know what you think. Maybe we should do a soccer sketch one day. If you like that,
Yeah,
say
we probably
post
should
it,
do
post
some
it,
of those.
post it.
Yeah,
If you want us to do a soccer sketch.
All right, bet. And mine is at Ian Edwards Comic on Instagram and on Twitter. And I have some tour dates coming up. La Jolla Comedy Store, the weekend of the 9th of August. And the other tour dates will be in my stories. So come out, see me do some stand-up. Lee's a stand-up, Martin's a stand-up, and an actor. And we love you all. It's a great time for football. Poor, tired professional players, but like we out here working y'all like Turkey immigrants in Germany in the 60s. But we're enjoying it. And everybody, peace and love. Have fun. One.